They dumped me in a beige room and said it was for my own good. No warning, no conversation, just a box of my belongings, a nurse with a clipboard, and the echo of a slammed car door still ringing in my ears. I'm Maggie Holloway. I'm 72 years old, and 3 months ago, my own children decided I was too much trouble. It started on a Monday, the kind of Texas morning where the sun pours in too early and makes everything look a little too honest. My daughter Angela had called, using that syrupy voice I'd come to dread, sweet enough to rot your teeth but hollow underneath. "We're coming over, Mama," she said, "just to help you sort through some things." Help! I should have known better. I still remember setting out 4 mugs, my best china, the ones with the little blue roses I bought after my wedding. I brewed fresh coffee, put out lemon bars, even wore my pink cardigan. George, my late husband, always said it brought color to my cheeks. I wanted to look nice for my children. They walked in like strangers. Angela, purse clutched tight against her ribs, her eyes scanning the house like she was already measuring curtains. Michael barely looked up from his phone, and Daniel, the baby I once rocked through endless fevers, was carrying a manila envelope. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Mom," Angela began, folding her hands like she was about to deliver bad news to a stranger in a hospital. "We've been talking," and just like that, I knew. That's always how it starts, isn't it? When your world is about to be rearranged by people who claim to love you? Angela spoke like she was explaining bedtime to a child. "We've found a wonderful community for you, resort-style living. They have bingo nights, movie screenings, a library." Michael slid the paperwork in front of me like a waiter presenting a bill I didn't order. I blinked. "I'm not going anywhere." Daniel finally cleared his throat. "Mom, you've been forgetting things." Yes, I'd had a fall. Yes, I misplaced the remote. But who doesn't lose track of things now and then? Then Angela said it. "You already signed the medical power of attorney." My heart dropped. I remembered that day now. After my fall last spring, she brought over wonton soup and said, "Just sign this, Mama. It's so we can make decisions in case of emergency." I trusted her. Within the hour, I was packed. 1 suitcase, 1 blanket, 1 framed photo. That house, my house, full of memories, laughter, and sacrifices, was emptied of me like I was clutter. The facility was beige, bleach-scented, silent. I slept that first night with my coat on, not because it was cold, but because I didn't want to forget who I was. But what they didn't know was I wasn't done yet. If you're still with me, thank you. These stories matter. If you've ever felt discarded or silenced, you're not alone. Tap subscribe, leave a comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Now let me tell you what happened next. The first week at the care facility was the quietest of my life, and not in a peaceful way. Silence lived in the corners of that place, thick and stale. I cried most nights into a pillow I didn't recognize, trying to muffle the sound so no one would hear. Not that anyone was listening. They called it Golden Pines Assisted Living, but it was beige and linoleum and always smelled faintly of overcooked carrots and disinfectant. The walls had cheerful paintings, sunflowers, birds, a smiling couple walking a dog, but none of them looked like me. I stopped speaking unless spoken to. I folded my clothes with military precision. I sipped decaf at breakfast with trembling hands and tried to disappear into the vinyl upholstery of my dining chair. But one afternoon, while I was pretending to enjoy mashed potatoes that tasted like wet cardboard, I heard a voice cut through the dull hum of background TV. "Well, hell, if you're going to bet your pudding cup, you'd better at least have a pair of queens." I turned. At the corner table sat 3 women, one of them slapping cards on the table with a laugh that cracked open the whole room. Her name was Nora. She wore a lavender sweater with rhinestones shaped like tiny crowns and a red visor that didn't match anything. "Poker night," she said when she caught me watching. "You in?" I shook my head, but I smiled. The next day, she slid into the chair beside me in the lounge without asking. "You've got that freshly betrayed by family look," she said matter-of-factly, like a nurse taking a pulse. "I know it. Lived it. You stay quiet long enough, people start erasing you before you're gone." I laughed for the first time in weeks. It felt foreign in my throat, but right. That's how it started. Soon I met the others. Celeste, soft-spoken with a spine of steel, used to be a librarian in Vermont. She noticed everything. Her eyes sparkled like she was always 1 sentence ahead of you in a book she'd already read. Then there was Sharon, Tall, elegant, and walked with a cane like it was a sword. Used to teach law at a community college and could still cite cases from memory. Wore red lipstick like armor. They started saving me, bit by bit, without even knowing. We'd sit in the common room with lukewarm tea and whisper truths we hadn't told anyone in years. Nora told stories from her days running a bar in Louisiana. Celeste recited poetry in a whisper. Sharon cursed softly about broken systems and daughters-in-law with frozen smiles. Eventually, they asked about me. I told them the truth, the fall, the trick, the pink cardigan, the betrayal, how they packed up my life without asking, how I signed a paper when I was dizzy and scared and trusting, how I went quiet because I thought maybe I was the problem. Sharon didn't blink. They played the long game, she said. Classic power grab under the guise of love. Then one rainy Thursday, while digging through the drawer of my nightstand, I found it. My old leather folio, the one I used to keep our marriage license and tax papers in. It had somehow made the trip maybe a careless mistake by whoever packed my things. My fingers trembled as I unzipped it, expecting expired coupons or grocery lists, but it was there, the original deed to my house, in my name. No signatures from Angela, no notary stamps, just mine. I sank to the edge of my twin bed, clutching the paper like it was a lifeline. My chest burned, not from sorrow, but from clarity. They hadn't taken everything, not yet. I still own it, I whispered to Sharon that night, as we spread papers across the tiny table in her private room. She adjusted her reading glasses, scanned the document, and nodded. You've got gold under your feet. Celeste smiled and pulled a small laptop from her drawer. Let's get you an email address, and maybe a realtor. Nora grinned. Oh, honey, I once dated a real estate agent. Still have his number. He's probably bald and divorced now, but he'll do. Within days, the plan was in motion. Sharon contacted a former student turned property attorney. Celeste navigated the facility's Wi-Fi to create a Gmail account for me and set up Zoom calls in the community room. Nora bribed an aide with perfume to let me skip an activity or two. We were subtle, we were smart, we were women with nothing to lose, and that made us dangerous. When the buyer's offer came in, full asking price for the house I was supposed to forget, I didn't cry. I smiled. The funds were wired into a brand new account, one that only I had the password to. I sat with my friends that night in the courtyard, wind brushing our cheeks. Cheers, Sharon said, raising her plastic cup of ginger ale. To what? I asked. To the quiet women who remember who they are. Nora smirked. And to the day arthritis plotted a heist. We clinked our cups together, and I felt something I hadn't felt in months, alive. We left during Friday night bingo. The staff was distracted, the halls buzzed with cheap prizes and soda cans, and Nora had bribed a night aide with a pizza and a perfume sampler to forget our room checks. Sharon rolled out first, cane in hand like a general on a mission. Celeste followed with my suitcase. I came last, nerves sparking like static in my chest. We slid into a rideshare car with a cracked windshield and a driver who didn't ask questions. Just 3 older women in orthopedic shoes, hearts pounding like teenagers sneaking out past curfew. I didn't look back. The airport felt like heaven. The fluorescent lights, the noise, even the overpriced bottled water. Everything screamed of possibility. Our first stop was Rome. We stayed in a tiny pensione just off Trastevere, the kind with iron balconies and sheets that smelled of lavender. The woman at the front desk didn't bat an eye at 3 gray-haired Americans with suspiciously light luggage. Rome had seen stranger things. The moment my foot touched the cobblestone, something in me broke open. We wandered through narrow alleys, sipped espresso that made us cry, and bargained for scarves we didn't need. One morning I stood in front of the Colosseum, wind brushing my cheeks, and I whispered aloud, I'm not anyone's burden. I'm alive. It wasn't just a trip. It was a resurrection. In Florence, we shared a tiny apartment with peeling paint and a view of a crumbling church tower. I unpacked my bag one night and found a folder I hadn't seen in years, wedged deep in the lining, a folder with my late husband Tom's handwriting. There were 6 letters inside. They were dated months before his stroke, each addressed to me. He'd been worried about the kids, about the way Angela and Michael spoke to me when he wasn't around. He wrote about overhearing a conversation between Daniel and Angela one afternoon in the garage, whispering about how long Mom could live alone and whether the house would be worth selling. And in the final letter, just weeks before his passing. He wrote, "If you're reading this, Maggie, I hope to God I was wrong. But if they've turned on you, remember, you are worth more than they've made you believe. Don't let them erase you. You are stronger than I ever was." I sat on the cold tile floor and sobbed until my chest ached, not just because he'd seen it coming, but because I hadn't. The next morning, I showed the letters to Sharon. Her eyes narrowed. "Then it's time we tell your story." With her help and a contact she still had from her days in legal advocacy, we reached out to a journalist named Megan, host of a podcast called The Quiet Exit, focused on women over 50 finding new lives after loss. I told Megan everything: the cardigan, the signature, the betrayal, the paper I held like a lifeline, and the escape. She interviewed me over 3 days, soft questions, long silences, real listening. 2 weeks later, the episode dropped. By that night, it had 70,000 downloads. By the weekend, it crossed 500,000. The inbox flooded with messages from women across the country. Some were angry, some were broken, but all of them said the same thing: I thought I was alone. And then came the message that knocked the wind out of me. It was an email sent at 2:14 a.m. from a name I hadn't seen in almost 2 years. Lily, my granddaughter. I hovered my mouse over it for a long time. Finally, I clicked. "Grandma, I found the letters. Mom kept them hidden in her filing cabinet. I know what they did. I'm sorry. Please don't hang up if I call." Seconds later, my phone lit up. An unknown number. My hand trembled as I picked it up. "Grandma?" Her voice was shaking. I couldn't speak. Not at first. I didn't know," she said. "I thought you were just sick, that they were helping you. But when I read Dad's letters, I couldn't sleep. I had to find you. Please, I just want to talk. Please don't hang up." Tears pooled in my eyes. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Not yet. After the call ended, I sat out on the pensione balcony with the phone in my lap and the stars blurring above the Roman skyline. Nora came outside and wordlessly handed me a blanket. "Family?" she asked gently. I nodded. "She sounded real," I whispered. "But I don't know if I'm ready to believe again." Nora wrapped the blanket tighter around my shoulders. "You don't have to decide tonight, Maggie. We didn't survive all that to rush forgiveness." Inside, Celeste was reading. Sharon was already on her laptop, fielding emails from 3 national outlets wanting interviews. And I sat there in the Roman night, with my future on one line and my past echoing in another. They thought they'd buried me. But I was just getting started. We met in Savannah, beneath the shade of an old oak tree draped in moss. Lily stood waiting on a park bench, clutching a book to her chest like it could protect her. She looked like her mother once did, before the coldness, before the silence, but there was something softer in her eyes. Regret, maybe, or courage. "Hi, Grandma," she whispered. My voice caught in my throat. "Hi, sweetheart." We walked for hours through quiet streets and slow sunlight. She asked about my childhood, about Grandpa Tom, about the day I left. She told me how she'd found the letters and confronted her mother, how Angela slapped her, how she packed a duffel and never looked back. And I listened. I didn't want revenge. I wanted restoration. That afternoon, over sweet tea and trembling hands, we made a promise: no more silence. Together, we started the Holloway Grace Foundation, named for the man who once wrote, "Don't let them erase you," and the woman who refused to be erased. Our first project was Haven House, a restored white home with green shutters and a wide porch in the heart of Savannah. It became a sanctuary for women like me, mothers, widows, grandmothers, forgotten or cast aside, now given the tools to rise. And rise they did. We opened more homes, Asheville, Detroit, Oregon, each one filled with laughter, tears, healing. Lily became the director. Nora found love on an Alaskan cruise with a man named Paul who made her laugh like she was 22. Celeste ran poetry circles under twinkle lights. Sharon gave free legal advice every Friday in her red lipstick and heels. As for me, I became a symbol, though I never asked to be. "I'm not here to shame my children," I once told a reporter. "I'm here to honor the woman I almost forgot I was." This past Thanksgiving, I sat at a table surrounded by 22 women once abandoned, now alive with purpose. Some wore pearls, others wore flannel. All wore hope, and I realized this was my real family. This wasn't a home for the broken, it was a home for the rising. If you've ever felt invisible or too old to start over, remember this: you are not done yet. You are just getting started. Thank you for listening. And if my story moved you, share yours below. We see you, we hear you, you matter.